Are you using the wrong task manager? These are 22 features compared of Planner versus To Do. So let's nerd out. Let's first start off with a side-by-side comparison, as there are some similarities between these two apps, making it difficult to choose which one you should be using. Now, from the web browser, both apps can be accessed via the app launcher in your 365 apps. And on the left here, we have Planner, and then on the right, we can access To Do. From the main page, we have My Day, which shows you all of your tasks that are due today or assigned as My Day. Then, if we expand the My Tasks area within Planner, we have some predefined filters at the top that align with the left navigation within To Do. So here we have our private tasks, which aligns with tasks. And this just shows you all of your tasks that are not part of a shared either planner plan or a shared list. We're going to dive into both of those a little bit later. Next, we have the Assign to Me, which is the Assign to Me also within To Do. And the Assign to Me tab shows you all of your tasks that are being assigned to you in a shared plan or in that shared list. So it's going to be the opposite of the private tasks. Assigned to Me can also commonly come from task lists within Microsoft Loop, and those sprout from Teams meeting notes primarily. Next, we have our flagged emails, which matches the flagged emails in Microsoft To Do. And this just records all of the emails that you have flagged for follow-up in Outlook. And when we expand these task cards in both the apps, you can easily navigate to the email thread via the link to the email there. The great thing about these two apps is that they speak with each other very well. So when we mark a task as complete in one, then it will also update simultaneously in the other. And as we add a task in one app, then we will also see it add in the other. And if we expand these two task cards, then we can see them update as well. So if we star or favorite this task, then we're going to see the priority update within Planner. We can also add a due date, and we'll see that update within To Do. We can make this repeat. And similarly, we'll watch it update within To Do. And when we add notes in one, it updates in the other. And then these steps update as checklists within Planner. So we can see how seamlessly these integrate together. And a mentor once told me that it's not A or B, but maybe a combination of both. So maybe you don't need to pick Planner or To Do, but perhaps it will be a combination of the two that works best for you. So now that we've taken a look at these similarities, let's hop into Planner and take a look at some of the pros of using Microsoft Planner. One of the benefits of Planner is that we can access it directly within Microsoft Teams. So from the ellipses, we can find Planner, and I would just recommend right-clicking the app and then pinning it to your navigation. One of the benefits of Planner is that it has a visual dashboard along with filters that we can customize the view. So we can see under My Tasks, we have this Plan column, and this is a great visual indicator of what these tasks are relating to. So we can see this one is a flagged email. This is a shared plan. And then this one is just a private task. Then we also have a snapshot of the due date, along with the priority, the progress, and a quick look, which lets you know all of the additional items that are in these task cards. If we expand that, add new task, then we will see all of those different items that are indicated in the quick look. Now, one thing that I know is difficult within Planner is filtering for your completed tasks. And on the right-hand side here, we have some filters. So for example, we can clear all of these filters, and now we're going to see all of our tasks. And if we wanted to view just our completed, we could go down to progress and then go completed. That will help you narrow down your search, or we can go not started, in progress, and then we can undo the completed from the top. Similarly, we can search by due date. So we can narrow down our search and just filter for tasks that are due this week. And if we wanted to go even further, then we can update for our priority items as well. Now, all of these columns can also be sorted. So if we wanted to, for example, sort the priority by ascending, then we can easily do that there. We can also adjust the column width. One of the biggest benefits of Planner is the ability to manage your plans. So if we go to My Plans, then we will see Recent. These are going to be all of your shared plans. Then we have Personal, which will be your private plans or your private lists that are created within To Do. And then we also have our pinned plans, which also show on the left navigation. So let's now go and create a new plan. Mine is going to look a little bit different here because I have a 365 Copilot license. So I will have this plan with Project Manager along with these additional templates. If you also have a 365 Copilot license, then stay tuned as I will be doing another tutorial on this soon. So at the top here, we can go basic, which is going to create a blank plan. But I recommend just selecting any of these templates here, and it will bring us to the templates window where we can preview all of our plans and see what's included. I think that all of these templates are a great starting point. And at Amy's Animal Shop, we are preparing for our Paws Winter Fashion Show. So I'm going to use this project management template. And then here we can give our template a name. And if we select this Add to My Pinned Plans, then this plan is going to show up under our pinned plans here, as well as on the left navigation for easy access. At the bottom here, we have an Add to a Group, and this is optional. Now, this is a great new feature within the new planner because we don't need to assign a plan to a 365 group or a Microsoft team. And if you leave it blank, then that plan is going to be shared with just you. But if we select a group here, so in our case, we are going to assign this to the Vancouver flagship location, then all of the contents of this plan are going to inherit the permissions of this Microsoft team. Let's go and create. So here we have our plan, and we are visualizing this under the board view at the moment. We can see that all of our tasks have been automatically grouped into different stages of the plan. So these are called buckets. And if you wanted to add a new bucket, then you could add a new bucket here and then simply drag and drop your tasks to the different buckets. So buckets are a great way for you to categorize your different tasks. And doing this in project stages is a great example, but you can customize it however you see fit. Next, if we expand any of these task cards, we can also categorize our tasks using labels. And if we select this edit icon, then we can call this a new label, and then we can allocate it that way. Now, one option that you might want to use for your labels would be a subcategory. So perhaps you would want to allocate this by different departments. And the labels are really great because we can also group our plan using the different labels. So that is just a different way to visualize the task. And for example, if you did group your project by departments, then if somebody is in the blue department, then they could filter for labels and just show the blue tasks. And this would isolate only their department tasks for them to see. I'm going to undo these now. So we'll just unselect label, and then I'm going to once again group this by bucket. Now, again, if we expand this task card, then we can start to assign our tasks. So because Mike is part of the Vancouver flagship location, he is showing up as a suggested person for me to assign this task. And that is just a great way for you to easily assign permissions to this planner plan. Moving along, we have a lot of those similar items that we have already gone through. And at the bottom here, if we wanted to add a comment, then we can even ask Mike if he would like us to help him. So now that that task has been assigned to Mike, let's hop into his planner and see how he can manage this task as well as the plan in Mike's teams. And Mike is going to be notified of this task in a couple of ways. Depending on his settings, he will receive an email notification that he has been assigned the task, and he will also receive a notification in his team's activity feed. So here we can see that there's that new task that has been assigned to him, and we'll see that that is showing under My Tasks within Planner. We close it up here. That task will appear under the Assigned to Me because it is a shared plan where we have assigned Mike a task. Now, if we open up this task card, then Mike will have access to all of that information that we have just added for him, including even the comments down below. Now, going up to the top of this task card, Mike currently only can view the task, but if he wants to view all of the tasks that are part of that plan, then he can select the plan name from the top and he'll be redirected to the plan. And here he will have a similar view to what we just saw when we were setting up the plan. Back in Planner, these plans also have some great out-of-the-box features. For example, we can go up to Grid View to view our tasks in a list layout. We have the filters at the top for all of these views. And I think that the grid view is a great way for you to easily allocate tasks to different team members and also easily update the due dates or any of these other items. We also have a schedule view, and this is a great way for you to select tasks and then you can drag and drop them into the calendar, and that will then update the due date for all of those task items. There are also some additional views at the top here. You can adjust your view as you need. Lastly, we have a chart view, which allows you to view the progress of the plan as your team works through it. And similarly, we have those filters and group by, like we saw in the board view earlier. There are also some other advanced features with these plans. So from this little drop-down caret, if we select plan details, then you can rename your plan. Or if we select it again, then we can also copy a link to the plan. Just note that when you share this plan via this link, team members are going to need to be a part of that Microsoft team. So in our case, the Vancouver flagship location, in order to open up the plan. We can also export this plan to Excel, which is a great way for you to share the contents or the progress of the plan with somebody that is not in that Microsoft team without granting them access to that team. Now, this copy plan is a robust feature. So say you want to use this planner plan when you onboard employees, and for each new employee, you want to have a fresh plan, then we could create a copy of this plan, and then you can copy over all of these different items. I just want to note that unfortunately, we cannot copy attachments. And because these plans are already shared with a Microsoft team, then within a Teams channel, we can go to this Add a tab, and we can add our plan to this Teams channel. In our case, we are going to use an existing plan, and then we will select the drop-down caret, and we will go this winter fashion show, and then we can save. So this is a great way for you to easily access this plan directly within the Teams channel. What we just did here was we created a plan and then we shared it with the Vancouver flagship location team. So that plan is showing up under our shared plans. But if we didn't allocate that plan to the Vancouver flagship team, then we would have created a personal plan and it would have shown up under this personal tab here. And we would have had a very similar experience, but the plan would have been private to you. I have done several other tutorials on how to use Microsoft Planner, including tips and tricks, and I will be sure to link a playlist at the end of this tutorial. But now let's take a look at some of the cons to using Microsoft Planner over Microsoft To Do. Firstly, we don't have some of these predefined filters that are on the left navigation, including important, which shows you tasks that you have starred as important in To Do and show up as high priority in Planner. And we also don't have this planned tab, which shows you all of your tasks that have a scheduled due date. I wouldn't say that this is totally a game changer because within Planner, we have this all tasks, and then we can use the filters at the top. So we can filter for priority, or we can also select the due date, and then we'll notice here that there's this no date option. So your planned tasks will be any future tasks, ones that are due today, and tasks that are late, thereby they are planned. So this filter within Planner allows you to easily adjust and customize which tasks you want to search for. There is also this little search area here where we can enter keywords and search for our tasks that way. Additionally, with our private tasks in To Do, we have an option to add a category. We will dive into categories in a little bit, but unfortunately, these don't sync over to Microsoft Planner. In To Do, we can also create lists. Now, this list here, books, is a shared list, but these other ones are private. In Planner, we can open up these shared lists under the Shared tab and access those books that way, or the personal ones are going to be under this Personal Plans area. Now, we can add items to these lists within Planner, but unfortunately, we cannot create new lists within Planner. Now we can move on to some of the pros of using Microsoft To Do. One of the great things is that we can access Microsoft To Do directly within Outlook, similar to how we can access Planner within Teams. I would recommend right-clicking and then pinning the app to your left navigation. With To Do, we have a much simpler view. We'll see that it is quite clean and just simplified in general, so you can really just focus on the task at hand. For the Plan tab, what I really like here is that it groups your tasks by due date. So we can expand tasks that are late and also easily view tasks that are due in the future. Then, under the Assign to Me tab, I find that this one is quite helpful if we go to the list view at the top, and we'll see that it now includes the name of the plan that task is coming from. And it also provides some snapshot items, for example, 1 of 7. So if we expand this task card, then we'll see that those are those steps or checklist items. And as we tick through them, then it's now going to update that view to indicate how much progress we have made on this task. Additionally, with Microsoft To Do, it's very easy to select the ellipses and show our completed tasks. From the ellipses, we can also print our list. I know some people struggle with having a paper planner versus using an online one that's integrated with Microsoft, but perhaps that's a nice happy medium for you. As a little tidbit, what I do is I have a very small little planner in front of me, and I just write down my top 3 priorities every day. And then that helps me not get distracted when I'm working through my items. Then when we go to flagged emails or your private tasks, then we also have an ability to sort or group our tasks by different items so that you can filter down your search and find exactly what you are looking for. One small benefit of using To Do is the ability to add reminders to our tasks. So if we expand a task card, then you'll see this Remind Me. If we select that, then there are some additional predefined options here. So later today at 4 p.m., you can also add a custom date and time. Then at that date and time, a reminder notification is going to pop up in To Do along with your other Outlook notifications to remind you to start working on that task. I myself am so forgetful, so adding specific times to remind myself can be very helpful for some of those more crucial items. One of the cons to using Planner is that the categories defined in To Do do not sync over. So here we can categorize our tasks. And to edit your categories, we go up to this little gear icon, and then we can use the search bar to search for categories. So here we can add a new category. We can edit, delete, or even favorites your certain categories. Now, what I have done here is just provided some examples of some different categories that you can use. So you could do things like categorizing tasks as deep work versus learning, or you could categorize them by departments or tasks. So, for example, finance versus marketing, or you might even want to categorize them for priority clients and that sort of thing. So, how you set this up is going to depend on your role and what works best for you. Now, when we assign a category, we'll assign this one as deep work. The great thing is that we can then search for these categories. So we can search for deep work and we will see that that task has appeared. Now, if you want to use categories like deep work or learning, then what I would recommend is creating a recurring calendar event for a specific time during your workday. We can also categorize those events using the same categories. This way, you can have a dedicated time blocked in your calendar to work on those tasks, and then you can go to do, use that search, and locate the tasks that you want to work on during that time frame. I wouldn't necessarily say that categories not syncing over to Planner is a deal breaker, because in Planner, we can create a private plan and then we can use those labels in there as well. But those labels just don't sync with Outlook. So that's the major benefit of using To Do. Another benefit in To Do is similar to categories, but it's hashtags. So in the notes area, we can use hashtags to categorize our tasks. So we've done hashtag, then I've just written hashtag. I would think of hashtags as like a subcategory. So you could couple them with your categories that you've defined up here. And when we click out of the notes, we're going to see that this has now turned into a hyperlink. So if we select the hyperlink, then we're now searching for that specific hashtag. Hashtags also work within the name of the task. And I just want to add a bit of caution when you are using hashtags that you, of course, need to make sure that the spelling is accurate because any misspelling in a hashtag would create a completely different search result. Now, another benefit of using To Do is a feature on the My Day tab. And if we go up to the top right here, then we will see suggestions. Now, suggestions uses AI to look at your previous activity and also review late or starred tasks and suggest which tasks you might want to add to your day. So let's just remember here that My Day will show you tasks that are either due today or categorized as My Day. So if we see this one here, this engage with media, that is overdue. Should probably get a move on that. So what we can do is click this little plus icon, and now we are going to add that task to My Day. Now, alternatively, if we right click on any of these tasks, then we have a couple of other options here. If something is just so low priority and the chances of you actually getting to it are very low, then we can simply delete the task, but we have some other options. We can mark it as important, we can update the due date, or we can add the task to a list, which we're going to cover lists in just a moment. And I'm pleased to note that these updates to My Day also sync with the My Day in Planner. Moving along to lists. Lists are a powerful feature within To Do. So here you can see that I've created some lists for books, audiobooks, and podcasts, but you might even want to create a list for something like groceries. And then we can add grocery items such as pasta. Now, a nice thing about these lists is that we can even group them. So, for example, I might want to group my books, my audiobooks, and my podcasts into a to learn group. And then this can be expanded and collapsed as needed. Now, another great thing about lists is that we can also share them. So, for example, we can right click on the list and then we can go share list. So here we can create an invitation link and you can invite somebody via email. We can email Mike. When Mike receives the email, then he can open up the link and select join list. Back in my To Do, if I right click on this list, then we can go sharing options. And here we will see that Mike has now been added as a member. Now, I wanted to note here as well that anyone in your organization with the link can join and edit this list. So this is less secure compared to a planner plan, where if a link to a plan was shared with somebody, that wasn't a part of the team that the plan was assigned to, then they wouldn't be able to access those plan contents. So using a planner plan is better for more secure or sensitive information. Whereas using lists, you just got to be mindful that if that link was accidentally shared with anybody, then anyone in your organization can access all of the contents of that list. So with that out of the way, we can close out of here. And now, similar to Planner, we can open up this task. And then on the right here, we are going to see assign to. So I can assign it to myself or I can assign it to Mike. So similar to Planner, we are now able to assign tasks to team members within a shared list. Here we are in Mike's to-do, and under assign to me, we can see that task for pasta and groceries. And if we expand the task card, then we will see all of those details on the right-hand side. Now to view this whole list, then he can navigate to groceries on the bottom left, and he can even add tasks and assign those to me. So we will add the task. He opens up the task card, and similarly, he can assign this item to myself. So here he can view all of these tasks assigned to different team members within this list directly in To Do. However, contrary, if we go to the Plan tab, and then we'll open up this task here, then we will see that we can open up this task in Teams. And now we can see that we've been redirected to the Planner app within Teams, and this task is appearing under My Tasks. So here Mike has that task card, and if he wants to go to the whole plan, then he can select the plan name from the top. Now this here highlights the biggest downside to using lists over Planner, because now we have all of these different views at the top where we can assign team members or view the tasks in a grid view. We can allocate due dates in a schedule, and we can even view the status in the chart view. So that is the biggest downside of using Microsoft To Do over Planner. The other consideration is that both of these apps have a mobile app. So if you plan on using these apps on your phone or any other mobile device, I would recommend downloading both of them and playing around with them for a bit, because it's going to depend on your own personal preferences. Remember, it might not be using Planner or To Do, but perhaps you use a combination of both. I have done another tutorial on how you can use Microsoft To Do, and there is also this playlist here on how you can utilize Microsoft Planner more.